Welcome to Birdseeds with Joe Bird. Thanks as always for listening. Have a guest on today. We've had him on the show before. Scott Nathan. Went to high school with Scott. We've reconnected over the last couple of years. Just super impressed with everything he does. He's got a nonprofit that we're going to talk about. We'll get into those details. I'll let him kind of explain that a little bit more. But welcome to the show, Scott.
Thanks, Joe. Happy to be here again.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's just talk about your charity. Tell me about SHP.
Sure. Thanks so much for asking. So SHP, we're all about providing beds to kids that don't have a bed. So sad to think about, but between 2 and 3% of kids in America just don't have a bed. Could be sleeping on the floor, could be sharing a mattress with our family. So our single goal is to just make sure that we believe that every child out there should have a bed to sleep in. So we come together once a month, and we have groups of volunteers that build beds. We do that second Saturdays, and then throughout the rest of the month, we have delivery teams that go out and actually place those beds into homes.
That's awesome.
It's been a lot of fun. It's a nationwide charity, chapters all over the country. Montgomery Village, we started a few years ago. We just hit a major milestone. We just delivered our 300th bed, which is great. Not as great as we currently have a waiting list that when I checked yesterday, we were up to 140 kids right here waiting. So we're excited to get back out on Saturday and hopefully get more kids uplifted and more families uplifted in the process.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to believe that many people don't have a bed, and it's a relatively affluent area. It's not like we're in an area that you would expect something like that. So yeah, it's really telling, I think, to where we're at, and it's just one thing I never really thought about, and that's privilege on my part that I never thought about. Do I have a bed? Could I have a better bed? Could I have a more comfy bed? Sure. You know, did I want the air bed or whatever it might be, the sleep number? Yeah, but having a bed just seems like it's not something you need to worry about. So it's awesome that you guys saw that need and are able to do that and help that many people out. That's incredible.
And we make sure that the kiddos know that it's volunteers that came together to make this happen. So, even when the kid's having, a rough day, they know that at the end of that day, they will have something to go back to that's safe and comfortable and theirs, and that there's people out there that love them and are there to help them and help support them.
Yeah, it helps them understand, if they're having a rough go at it, maybe they don't trust society or like society, but to know that society has come together, there are good people out there that would come together and do something good for somebody they don't know. That's awesome.
And it is primarily about serving the kids, but we definitely take a lot of value in our volunteers really get out a lot out of helping too. So I feel like it's just uplifting all around.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I had you on last, we really kind of focused on happiness. We also talked about a book, The Second Mountain, and it's kind of your story of your career and then moving into nonprofit and helping people, being what The Second Mountain's really about. I think it's awesome because you're happy because you're helping people. It's not about helping you anymore, right? And I'm still reading this book. We can get into why I'm still reading this book, but I'm still reading this book. I feel like I have to read it perfect. But my understanding, like the first mountain is about you, and the second mountain's about making the world a better place. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure. And it's also about having something to reach for. I've always gotten a lot of value out of building something and something that takes time and something that the more effort that needs to go into it, you get out of something, what you put into it. So if something's easy, okay, well, might not be that much reward at the end of that rainbow. Uh, it has not been the easiest endeavor to get this thing off the ground, but now that it's rolling, it's just really so fulfilling to see it actually growing and starting to take off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, super proud of you, man, and keep up the good work. And I'll keep sharing it and helping out as much as I can. I would love to volunteer to help build beds. My schedule is crazy, but if there's ever a time where I can make it, I will absolutely be there to help build beds for
Excellent.
sure.
Well, we're 100% volunteer and donation
Yep.
based organization, so it really takes the community coming together. We just had a build event this last Saturday. It was one of our biggest yet. Thankfully, the weather cooperated, but you know, uh, as we're getting there to start setting up, everything's all quiet. It's a Saturday in a business park, and there's like nothing happening. And then fast forward an hour, and there's machines going and sanders going, and just like hustle and bustle. And it's just really cool to see what starts off as just a pile of raw lumber. A few hours later, we'll have a truck full of 40 beds, ready to start going out and into the community.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'll put it in the show notes and everything. But if somebody wanted to get involved or contribute, how would they get a hold of you?
Thanks for asking. So we're at shpbeds.org. Again, chapters all over the place. I'm specifically with the Montgomery Village chapter, so we service Montgomery Village and Gaithersburg, central Montgomery County, Maryland. But again, chapters all over. So on the shpbeds.org website, you can go in, put your area in, and find the closest chapter.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'll put your direct link in there to your specific page, but obviously you can go back to the home button and see whatever chapter you might be in if you're listening to somewhere else. It's national, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
International.
international. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we've had volunteers come from all over. As I'm helping check people in, I very often just ask where folks came in from, and it's always impressive when somebody's coming from another state. Um, uh, Earlier this year, we were doing an event, and somebody came with it was a mom, and she had her two kids with her, and her husband was with her, and asked where she came from, and she looked at me, and she goes, Canada. So
Wow.
we do have chapters internationally, and we've had volunteers that came as far as Canada.
Wow.
She did so much. I guess, liked the experience so much. She contacted me a few days later and was asking about starting a chapter where she lived.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Yeah, and we'll talk offline. But if there's any ways we can kind of sponsor, the event through my real estate team or whatever like that, we'd be certainly open to do stuff like that.
Fantastic.
I
We're
mean,
building out our 2026 calendar now,
awesome.
sponsorship. So absolutely.
Yeah, and I would love to do like combine a team building event to have my team come down and build beds. I think that'd be awesome.
Yes, that's our sponsorships can take uh, number of different ways folks can get involved, whether it's individuals, volunteers, or group sponsoring. Anything from a group of people coming out and doing a build. We just had a company that did a large bedding drive,
Okay,
so they gathered sheets and comforters at all their offices, and they came down with a truck full of bedding,
that's awesome.
and which is the timing of it. We're going to be able to get all these beds out before Christmas, so everybody's able to wake up on Christmas morning knowing that there are kids out there waking up in a bed that on that Christmas otherwise would not have.
Yeah, I mean, you just said bedding, and like I said earlier, like I always thought about bedding. Do I have clean sheets? Do I have enough sheets? Do I have warm sheets? But I never thought about a bed. And that's privilege. You just things you just take for granted because you didn't have to do that, and it's always really good perspective building of like getting out of your own world and your own existence and seeing what other people exist. And we tend to focus, or at least I tend to focus on those that maybe have it better than I do, and jealous of those that have a lot more, that are more wealthy or whatever it is. And it's always the comparison. Social media is terrible at that. You compare yourselves to the people that at least appear to be doing better than you. But it's different when you slow down and look at people that are struggling. And I don't say you're doing better than, because that makes it better or worse, but you know what I'm trying to say, like
Mhm.
that you have more advantages over, you have more privilege over, and it's just different perspective to go. I'm grateful for where I'm at and not
Absolutely,
jealous of where I'm not.
absolutely. It really is all relative. Um, we can focus on what we don't have
Yep.
and focus on what the other guy has and what we want. But at the same time, there's plenty of people out there that would love to be in your position. And talking about happiness, it doesn't happiness. I've heard the phrase that happiness equals contentment,
Okay.
and being content. It's not the same as being you know lazy and having no drive. That's not what it's about. It's being happy with what we have and focusing on the things that we do have rather than the things that somebody else has that we wish we had. I
Right.
feel like anybody, folks in alive here now, Um, there, anyone living 200 years ago would much, much, much rather live in a world with indoor plumbing and electricity than
Heat, cooling. I mean, cooling. Just think about cooling. Like heat, we've had fires for caveman times, right? There's always been a way to heat. Cooling. I mean, just think about how luxurious it is to have a 110-degree day outside and you're in 68, 72-degree air temperature inside. Like, just imagine living without that. How miserable you'd be. And your air goes out for a day and you're like complaining. 75 years ago, I don't know exactly when AC came out. I think it was Carrier that invented the AC, if I'm not mistaken, in Germany. But let's look it up. When was AC created? 1902. So 123 years ago, whatever it is, if you lived back then, you didn't have AC. And then, of course, when it came out, it wouldn't have been widespread. It would have been super luxurious. So I don't know when it became like more common in everyday houses.
but at the same time, I'm sure there's people that are sitting in their nice temperature controlled air conditioned house, but are on their phone scrolling through, looking at all the negative things that get pushed out at you.
Right.
So, yes, there's negative out there. I'm not saying that the world is perfect. It clearly isn't. But it doesn't take too much searching to find equal good.
Exactly.
Every the saying that every cloud, no matter how dark, there's a silver lining.
Yep.
There are two sides to every coin, and you know, we
We
can take that same negative. I'm sorry, was that?
we were talking pre-show about, and an investment opportunity. I want to get into your specifics, but an investment opportunity that fell through at the 11th hour, that felt like it was the end of the world. It was the worst thing that could have happened to you. But it turned out the economy changed right after that fell through, and it would have been probably the worst investment you ever made. And in that moment, it felt like the worst thing ever. But just back out a little bit, a year later, 6 months later, it probably felt like the best thing that ever happened. Um, so it's funny because that kind of contradicts another thought process I have that I've talked about on the show before, that anxiety is the past. Sorry, depression. Yeah, depression. I'm going to mess this all up. Depression is the past, anxiety is the future, but happiness is the present. So when you can stay in the moment and not worry about what happened before or what's going to happen, that's when you can find your true happiness. And I just said that, and I just said in your moment, in that moment, you were truly sad, but you were disappointed. But that was the right emotion to have at the time. You don't know what was going to happen tomorrow. But at the end of the day, if we believe and we have faith that everything happens for a reason, or we'll be able to adjust based on everything that happens to us, or however you want to put it, know that whatever's happening, it's happening, and we're going to be able to make that a positive. It's going to be a good thing at the end of the day.
And I know something that you've talked about in the past is, when things seem like they're going great, never get too high, never get too low.
Yeah,
Um, and recently you highlighted, I never know which is
yeah,
right. A song, I think it was called Balance,
hmm,
and that is what I heard from the song is, stay even keeled.
yeah,
Don't get too high when times are good, and likewise, not get too low when things seem to be falling apart.
yeah. Again, I really go back to being present as my number one goal. I tend to not be in the present moment. I tend to be thinking about what's coming next or what's already happened, and either doing revisionist history or trying to control the future. And I've been working really hard for years on getting more in the moment and more spontaneous and things like that. And by doing that, I've found myself being more grateful and having gratitude for things that might have not been a super positive. We were talking about my son had an incident in school, and the way he handled it was fantastic. At first, I'm really mad, but then I'm like, because I'm in the presence and I'm not just worrying about everything, I'm like, but that was amazing. Like, he's learned lessons from life and from us and from everything that he's done, that he handled that situation like a champ. And that's awesome. Like, but if I was too worried about the future or the past, I wouldn't be able to recognize that there was good in that moment.
As we were, talking about the kids' sports, to me, that is the value of the kids' sports. Yeah, you want to win, but it's really about the values that and the life lessons that are being, learned along the way. Whether I think the child often does not realize what's happening. I look back to some of my high school sports, and the lessons learned I still carry with me.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I never. ever thought that I would have kids that played travel sports. I didn't play travel sports. I played rec sports and had a lot of fun doing it. And I learned a lot of lessons. I just never thought that would be like our family. But I'm so glad we're there because it really does teach them lessons. And it is crazy. It's so much money and so much time. But I've been able to refocus my priorities to make sure I have the time to do that because they are benefiting so much from it. Um, and then selfishly, it opens up to new friend groups, and there's more socialness because of that. There's different experiences. We get to go to new places. So I'm not saying it's all. I mean, the priority is them. We do benefit from it as well, but it is a lot of time and a lot of money, and but they're getting what they need out of it. And we talked about um, you know practicing and why that matters, and like do they have the natural skill sets? Or are they learning the skills? And who's going to be the long term because they're learning the right way to do things, not just because they had speed or something like that. So super proud of them, super proud of where they're at, and super happy that we're doing travel sports.
It is now occurring to me that some of those lessons, yeah, they're happening on the field, but your involvement in sports is allowing, number one, you to really get quality time in with your kiddos. Kiddos are going to remember that you were on the sidelines and that you were there cheering along, but it also builds in the natural opportunity for on the drive home from the game
Yep,
to say, "Hey, remember when that happened? What's next time that happens? What's a better way to respond? Or what do we do differently next time? What did we do well? What can we do better?"
exactly, exactly. And then tell me what happened in that play because you got a penalty, but I don't know what they called, or did that person trip you, or whatever. And then it just gets them to think about it in a constructive way and not just do the thing. So yeah, absolutely.
I get accused of being an unk for with some of my friends' kids because they'll tell me about their game, and I will often turn it into a lesson for life. And yes, I've been called unk more than it's happening more and more, it seems.
Yeah, Gen whatever alpha language, it's beyond me. I can't figure it out. It's pretty crazy. I mean, Unk makes sense. Uncle, like that one's pretty logical, but
Sure,
some of the other ones, it's like, what?
sure.
It doesn't make any sense. Like 6, 7. I will never understand it.
There's a great South Park episode that does a good job of explaining.
Yeah, my wife says it's like their version of our was that or bud wise or whatever that was. It's like nonsensical sayings that don't really mean anything that get stuck. But I'll need to watch that episode. It seems like.
Yes, I traditionally have not been a huge South Park fan until fairly recently, and it's actually a much smarter show than I ever realized or
Oh,
gave it
totally.
credit for.
Yeah, those guys are geniuses. Basketballs is one of my favorite movies. They just genius movie, and it was created by those guys. But I agree. I'm not a huge fan. I don't watch many episodes, but there are some that you just hear about, and you're like, I've got to watch that one for sure. Well, yeah, you brought up the Seth David balance song, and I think that is so clutch. You also brought up the idea of doing something called chopping it up, which I thought was awesome, where we kind of just talk through some songs. So you brought a song, I brought a song. I'm going to stick on the Seth David train that I've been on off and on here as I go through this album and just talk about how awesome it is and all that. And then you have a song from Bumpin' Uglies that you want to talk about, local band here in Maryland. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. So what I do in these cases, read the lyrics, kind of give you my insights, interject your insights into it. If you think that, you have a different take on the lyric than I do, share it. Because one of the things I love about music and lyrics is the songwriter has written it about something very specific, but everybody's going to experience that lyric based on their own experiences. So you could have the same lyric said to three different people. Each person's going to have a different takeaway from that if they're good lyrics, in my opinion. The song's "Education on Feeds" by Seth David is Darling. Starts off 25% of my education came from going to school. And another 10% I gained from playing games and acting a fool. Teenager at the bonfire, debating without a leg to stand on, drinking my garbage alcohol. I could get any garbage alcohol I get my hands on. Milwaukee's best? Damn, Milwaukee must be in some rough shape.
Hmm.
I mean, number one, he's using comedy to break the mood. Um, Milwaukee's best? Damn, Milwaukee must be in rough shape. Hilarious. Basically, what he's saying is his education came from life. Yes, 25% came from school. Great. Like you need that baseline information, that foundation. 10% came from doing stuff you shouldn't be doing, but the rest of it just came from living your life. Bad idea, like trying to fix your gun safe with some duct tape. 5% came from staring at Orion all alone, sorry. Another 10 I got from looking into the eye of my mom, who just lost her mom to the great unknown. On account of a weak staff and incompetent nursing home, get out of your chair if you want to help a lady in distress. God bless, I'll have to find her up in heaven, I guess. So again, goes on about where he's learned his lessons in life, and it just from comes from being. Love how he takes it super personal and talks about how his mom lost her mom, so his grandmother, and kind of throws the nursing home under the bus. Very nonchalant. I think that resonates with people really well because we all have our experiences of healthcare failing somebody that's been sick or something like that. And it forces you, I think, to either feel heard and seen because somebody else who's, you know, subject matter expert in music has been through something similar, or grateful that you didn't have that experience and the times you didn't have that experience with healthcare. Anything you want to add to that?
I have thoughts at the end.
Okay, sounds good. And I really have no idea if there's such a place. So he just said, have to find her up in heaven, I guess. So I really have no idea if there's such a place, but I have an ongoing convo with the mystery and heavenly grace. If there's a golden gate before the throne of God, I'm going to ask St. Peter how it felt when Satchmo came and took his job. Another quarter came. So before I jump into that. So basically, this is the overarching theme of the album. He is very spiritual, but he's very much, how would I know any more than you know? I'm not preaching to you. This is what I believe. But he's very open that we don't know anything. Another quarter came from the border of romance and common sense and the loss of love challenging established confidence. Another quarter came from the border of romance and common sense. That makes sense, right? And the loss of love challenging established confidence. So being able to admit that you're not always right. Like the loss of the love challenging established confidence is amazing because it's just being able to admit that I might not know that, but my confidence made me feel like I had to know it. Took my fair share of low blows in the ring below the lights and had my lights knocked out like lightning striking satellites. But when I got back on the roof, my signal was stronger than ever to persevere with no fear of the weather whatsoever. The rest of my lessons came from trauma in the ER, watching loved ones prove how extraordinary we are. And I know I'm not exactly on the most enlightened path, but I gain new understanding every time I hear my son laugh. Again, he comes back stronger than ever. Every down leads to a stronger return. And then obviously I love the reference to his son laughing because that does just provide new perspective to everything. I think this is where you might have some interjection here. Now, I know nobody's asking, but I'm feeling compelled. Like my dad when he was flat broke and learning how to weld. Sparks burning his hands and bouncing all around his feet, with a young wife and 3 kids at home needing to eat. You do what you got to do, and that's the end of the story. And little ones should only be concerned with searching for Dory. Still, nobody's requesting that I'm far from Magellan, but if my son needs some direction, here's what I'm going to tell him. Number one, amazing lyrical work there to rhyme Magellan with tell him. Awesome story with Dory. But what I take out of that, what he's saying is his dad did everything he had to do to put food on the table, and he as a child never had to worry about his dad being broke because all the child should have to do is be a child, which is so true.
Very true, and I can't help. So I love how this song does a great job of highlighting the education that life provides. I grew up in a household where, education was number one, meaning a formal education.
Hmm.
And there was no question of whether we were going to go to college. It was where we were going to go to college. And, I did not have a choice in the matter. I just was, you finish high school and next you go to college. And it was not until way after that even was aware that there's another option or another path that could have taken. So I just love how the song uh, really just highlights that the education that he's gotten is not from textbooks and from school, but through living life. And
Yeah,
then this particular line, the education is from seeing his dad work.
right.
Um,
And do whatever it takes to make sure the kids get to be kids.
saying that I love is I do a fair amount of financial literacy coaching,
Hmm.
and one of the things that I see a lot of people looking for these get rich quick schemes, and I'm the saying is if you want money, I'll tell you exactly where to go to get money. I'll tell you exactly where to go, and people are wondering what the address is, and no, you need to go to work.
Right.
That's where the money comes from, work.
Exactly. Yep. 100%. And once you get enough money, from working, then you can deploy that money to work for you. But you got to work to get the money in the first place. And I mean, take it on a deeper level, you see like sports stars and things like that get their millions of dollars. And because they, I mean, yes, they worked for it. Don't get me wrong. They talented athletes that put in tons of training. But because it wasn't like a gradual growth in, it was just all of a sudden I got handed money or people that inherit money, they tend not to do well with that money because they didn't directly work for it, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to say that athletes aren't deserving of money, and I'm not trying to say that they didn't work for it because clearly they did. But it happens all the time. It's pretty wild.
Sure, there's a great 30 for 30 ESPN documentary years ago about this, and it's called Broke. So I will say though, kind of painting with a broad brush. So yes, that's a very common story of the, athlete that gets a big, huge contract, and then, next thing you know, it's gone. But at the same time, there are plenty of athletes that, I mean, I know LeBron has done a great job of. He's made a lot of money in basketball. Don't get me wrong, but he's done a great job of redeploying that into the community,
Correct.
and is employing people along the way. Um, that to me is the aspiration. The knowing how to. There's a certain luck
Yeah.
that comes with the athleticism, um, the hard work that goes with it, but then to be able to translate that at beyond a playing career, and be able to help lift other people up along with you.
Yeah. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal's definitely that kind of guy where he right off the bat was investing in businesses, and I think he's made way more in his businesses than he ever made on the basketball court, which is pretty wild.
He's pretty good at being in commercials too.
He's very good at being commercials. That is for sure. And again, he had the genetic luck to be giant, which is important in basketball.
Um, Saw Magic Johnson speak at a conference a few years ago. What an amazing speaker, and what an amazing story. And as a child, I was not a huge basketball fan. As a child, one of the I, Magic Johnson was very in my in. I knew about Magic Johnson because of the HIV.
Right.
Just I think it was mostly my age and at the age that we are at.
Yeah.
Um, but what he's gone on to do, and he has businesses all over the place. But in his speech, he would so every other speaker would be on the stage and they would stand behind the podium. He comes out, he takes the mic off the stand and starts walking around, and then he would just like walk up the aisles, walk down the aisles, and then he would point people out and just have them come up and give him a big chest bump.
That's awesome.
And everybody walked out of there just beaming.
Yeah.
Um,
Inspired and yeah. Yeah. I mean, what a story. It's an awesome story and awesome person, it seems. And we obviously don't know him personally, or I don't think you do. I know I don't. But it just seems like he does the right thing. Steve Harvey's another character like that I think is really awesome at motivating people. And like, I'm sure you've heard his J Cliff of Success speeches and stuff like that.
Not
Awesome. So
familiar.
I'll send you a link. But go on. It's on YouTube. But he was filming a whatever game show he used to host. The one with, gosh, I can't think of the name of the show. One where the words go up on the board and you have to rank them based on,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
family something,
Yeah.
family feud, family
Family Feud.
feud,
There you
family
go. Yeah.
feud.
So it was pre-show. He was talking to the audience and he started talking about like, do the thing that you love. Don't do the thing that gets money. He goes, one of my best friends growing up loved cutting grass. That's what he loved to do. He wouldn't go out on Friday night because he had to get up early on Saturday and cut grass, and that was not a negative to him. Well, he decided he's going to go cut grass and make it full time. And now he owns the largest landscaping business in whether it was Ohio or the country. I don't remember the exact specifics, but now he owns the largest landscaping company, at least in that region. And it's because he did the things he loved. And he goes, now you're going to take that leap of faith and jump off the cliff, and you're going to think you're going to soar because you're doing it for the right reasons. You're going to hit your head on every single rock on the way down of that mountain. But right before you fall to your death in the valley, your wings are going to extend. You're going to catch your wind and you're going to sail up and you're going to take off. And so he's basically just inspiring everybody like, do the thing that you love. And if you put everything into the thing you love, it's going to feel like you're losing as you get there, but you're eventually going to succeed,
Hmm.
which I love that.
That man certainly has a way with words. In his next life, he should definitely be a preacher.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, well, jump back in the song here. So he just said, but if my son needs some direction, here's what I'm going to tell him. So I love how he's now taken it into advice to his son. And I love the advice he gives. If you take care of something that's going to last a long time, that goes for cars and tools and relationships too. Love that. If you neglect a dream, it's going to wither up and die. So use your time well and follow what's inspiring you. Forgiveness and goodwill are the highest of achievements, and the ties that feel the strongest are not always shatterproof. So it's going right into what we just talked about, right? He's saying, do what you love, do what inspires you, and understand that relationships and what has to feel the strongest are not always shatterproof. Like things can still break. So you got to take care of everybody. Take care of yourself, take care of your things, take care of your people, take care of everything. Absolutely love it. Not taking up arms doesn't constitute a weakness. So that's great. And you make time for what honestly matters to you. A woman is complex, a little different than a man. She was born with intuition you'll never understand. And talking about, sex and all that kind of stuff and get super edgy, but I 100% believe that. Capabilities and knowledge that mystify and confuse. You must never abuse her. She must never abuse you. I also love that. Universe is well beyond our understanding, and God is not a fantasy. Ask Martin Luther King. It takes all kinds of people to keep this big world running. Some will want to see you in, others will want to see you done in. Fueled by greed, they'll use you like a stepping stone. Just step aside and let them trip and fall on the ebb and flow. I mean, how awesome is that? Like, yeah, people are going to try to take advantage of you. They're playing the short game, and almost always they're going to fail. They're cutting corners, they're going to get in trouble, whatever it is. Just don't waste your time on it. Let them go.
And keeping the keeping focus of what matters the most.
Right. Don't worry about other. I mean, don't worry about other people in a negative way, but don't worry about your passions. Worry about you. Worry about the people you love. Low tide is inevitable, and isn't that the truth? There's going to be ups and downs. Embrace your darkest hour. The sun above is incredible, but love holds all power. Know that everybody wants to use their fists sometimes, but I've never personally seen it do any good, not one time. Love that. Son, it's hard to say what it takes to be a man, but you got to know your limits and ignore them however you can. Know your limits, but ignore them. Like, don't let your limits stop you. Just do everything. Honor yourself and do the best this do the honor yourself and do your best this whole life through. Because remember, there's never going to be another you. Just what a great way to end that. So well done, Seth. Amazing lyrics. I love being able to I love hearing them in the song, but then being able to slow down and just read them out loud, and they hit differently.
And going back to the knowing your limits, I'm sure that as he's working on this hip hop album, I'm sure not everybody was fully supporting, and I'm not. It's not the best hip hop I've ever heard in my life, but he has a few really good lines in there,
Yeah.
and the Magellan and I'ma tell 'em couplet is pretty strong. And he's got, I mean, the overarching what he's talking about, he's got some wisdom in there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's such an interesting band and people. And absolute love everything about them. Can't We're going to see them in Asheville on New Year's Eve,
Oh,
and we're taking
very
the
cool.
kids, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Very
They
cool.
normally do their shows between Raleigh and Charlotte. They bounce back and forth every year, but they're doing Asheville this year so they can raise funds for everything that happened in Western North Carolina.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Super excited for that.
Very cool.
Well, you wanted to talk about Bumpin' Ugly, so go.
Sure, sure. So recently discovered a, a Maryland band here. And a friend that has been talking about them for a while, and I always just kind of got stuck on the name, and didn't really give them a chance too much. But he sent me a link to the new album. I said, "All right, fine, I will check it out." And I have not stopped listening. It is really incredible. I've gone back to and listened to some of his old stuff as well, and um, the guy has some serious wisdom as well. So it is a pretty unique style. It's, I guess, mostly ska, but with a little bit of a reggae feel to it. It's kind of hard to describe. I would almost compare him to Sublime, but I find that he has such an emphasis on lyrics, and I just seem to really connect with what he says on so many different songs. So really love the new album. First song, I really love pretty much the entire album. But I wanted to just take a moment and highlight the first song. It's called Sweet Tooth, and I just connect with really what he's talking about. So we can run through the lyrics
Yeah,
like we did for the first one.
sure.
Um, so right off the bat, and this is a theme in his music. So it's called Sweet Tooth. Anything I'm gonna do, anything I love, I'm gonna do till it kills me. Drink a whole bottle, but the liquor never fills me up. It never fills my cup. Doubling down and betting hard eights. I would win sometimes, but I'd never walk away. Had to make a change, but my needs still remained. These days when I feel a little crazy, I just satisfy my sweet tooth.
It's
Every addict's got a sweet tooth. I was a chain smoking, skirt chasing son of a gun,
awesome.
driving drunk in the wrong lane, outrunning the fuzz, laughing like a maniac, living in the moment, fucking up my future, but I'd never own it. Now I binge watch and I eat the whole pint. Cherry Garcia, call it creamy delights. Ain't a good example, but I'm better than I used to be. Still the same identity, screaming out obscenities. And then comes back to the chorus. So, you know, it this one of my faults is I tend to live an all or nothing life, and when I find something I like, I do it to excess. Like the new Bumping Uglies album. Um, Drink the whole bottle, but the liquor never fills me up. It never fills my cup. I mean, that just like it or not, and I can blame my genes. I don't know, but the personality. I wish it weren't so all or nothing.
Hmm.
But it never fills my cup.
Yeah,
Um, and then so the second verse. I've been addicted to food. I've been addicted to sex. I've been addicted to booze and chasing highs at roulette. So it's coming back to the gambling
hmm,
theme. Um, Don't even learn all the rules before I'm placing my bet because the feeling of losing is as real as it gets. I'm gonna keep it real. If it feels good when I do it, then I'm coming back for more until somebody removes it. You ain't gotta understand, just nod to the beat. I'm addicted to the vibe of the crowd on its feet singing. Anything I love, I'm gonna do it till it kills me. Drink a whole bottle, but the liquor never fills me up, never fills my cup. Doubling down and betting hard eights. I'd win sometimes, but never walk away. Need to make a change, but the demons still remain. These days when I feel a little crazy, I satisfy my sweet tooth. Every addict's got a sweet tooth. So
awesome lyrics. And thank you for sharing that album with me. Same thing. I certainly knew of the band, but I never really paid attention. And I think the name is kind of what just made me not think it was serious. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's an awesome album. I've gone back and listened to their older stuff too. Like, I feel ashamed that and disappointed that I didn't know them sooner or listen to them sooner. But great lyrics, great songs, great vibes.
I recently discovered I think an older song called "Stupid Name,"
Yep,
and the point of the song is, yeah, my band has a stupid name, but like, don't judge a book by its cover.
right. And that, I mean, that is such a life lesson. And frankly, that's a lifestyle that I took in high school. You remember me in high school. I had a foot long mohawk. I was super punk rock dude. And I was kind of trying to prove the point that don't judge me based on the way I looked. I wasn't consciously making that decision, but as I self analyze and look back, I think that was a big part of it is like, I'm not the, you think I'm going to be this dangerous, scary person because I have spiky belts on and all that kind of stuff, but I'm actually generally pretty nice. Generally like to get one on one and get deep with people. And like, it's just kind of, again, in retrospect, I did that on purpose. Anything I ever made a conscious effort on. But I love when artists get super honest. I mean, talking about addiction, talking about being sober, whatever it may be, it's got to be one of the hardest things to do as a songwriter, putting on a front of some sort to the crowd. American Aquarium, I've talked to them about them on the show. BJ Barnum, he talks about his chase for sobriety and how his life is completely better because of it, and it's truly inspiring of how like hard those lyrics hit. So that's a great song. I'm glad to hear he's doing well too, because it seems like in the music world, the artists, and I think just in general, artists tend to suffer from addiction more. I think maybe just because they're more sensitive or they feel things deeper in their soul, and therefore they try to hide from it. But it seems like some of the really amazing artists have gone down that dark road that have gotten past it. and then they're enlightened and they're just brilliant at this point.
Mm.
So
I had another artist, my obsession a couple years ago, um, that inspired me to embark on a year of sobriety that is about to, or coming up on the end of the year of sobriety, and I think it's going to continue. Not exactly sure where it's going to go. And I didn't have, it makes it sound like I had huge hard drug addictions, and it wasn't that, but I knew how to blow off steam and I like to blow off steam. And
yep.
so there's other artists that I discovered a couple years ago. Again, don't judge a book by its cover. Are you familiar with this guy? His name is Harry Mack.
You've shown me Harry Mack before. He's awesome. Yeah.
So he's a freestyle rapper, and the guy is just absolutely incredible, incredible. And at the end of pretty much every time he does a freestyle for somebody, people are like, "Oh wow, that was incredible. How do you do that?" And his response is usually something along the lines of, "Well, I've been practicing since I was 10, and I stopped smoking weed." And um, yeah, if it works for him, yeah. So
Yep.
he inspired me to take a year off.
That's awesome. I mean, everybody's got to do what they got to do and the way they got to do it, and the timing's going to be the when the timing's going to be, and you just got to know. And I actually love that you're like, I don't know if I'm going to continue or not, because that's, in my opinion, a sign of being in a better place. Like if you say you're not, which is in many cases probably the right move for a lot of people, it still is controlling their life to some point. Like they have to very consciously say, I'm not doing that. Versus if you're like, "Hmm, I've got flexibility. Maybe I will if it's the right moment. Maybe I won't." I think that's being in a really good spot.
And maybe now that it's become an accepted medicine, makes it less desirable or something weird.
Yeah.
This is where I get inside my own head. And I think he almost mentions this on the Sweet Tooth song, um, where he's talking about he only wants it until someone says he can't have it or something like
Right.
that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the counterculture rebellion side of
Then
things.
I'm coming back for more until somebody removes it.
Right.
Well, not exactly, but
No,
close
but I
enough.
think that's in there. And I think that's a general kind of comment that's out there.
Um, I have started to use music really to as a bit more therapeutic than I have used it before.
Hmm.
And I have found different songs and different artists that uh, come into play in different moods.
Right.
So if I need something uplifting, if I need something, if I woke up on the wrong side of the bed versus, if I need something to calm me down and moderate a little bit, but really trying to use music
Hmm.
as a tool. I was heavy into podcasts and still listen to a fair amount of podcasts, and that really prevented me from listening to music
Yeah.
for a long time. Um, but very happy to have stumbled into Harry Mack a few years ago,
Hmm.
and equally happy to have discovered Bumpin' Uglies here this last year.
Yeah. I've got a playlist I have that's all instrumental music, and I go to acupuncture and I meditate a lot. And I have now found I would listen to like guided meditations or just do box breathing or whatever. But I've actually found listening to the instrumental playlist that I have, which is all styles of music, but it's all instrumental. It's all very moving music, puts me in a complete trance and it allows me to completely remove my thought process and just experience.
Hmm.
So it's really, really good. I can share it with you if you don't have it already. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for joining. Really, again, proud of everything you've done. Super glad that we've reconnected over the years and have a great relationship. And everybody, SHP, I'll put the link in the show notes, but help if you can. Thanks again, Scott.
Thanks,
And
Joe.
Birdseeds, have a wonderful day.